start off with some music today and some dancing.
City lights in the background and we drive slow with the windows down. Cause it's true when we walk in. Better know that we talking.
Yeah.
We got it going on. We got it, yeah. We got it going on. We got it, yeah.
We got it going on. We're starting off strong with a dance party. Let's go. Dance with me, ladies. Okay, you guys, I am so happy you're here. Welcome to the Finally Fearless podcast. We are live in front of 4,700 women in the Finally Fearless Facebook community, where you get early access to watch my podcasts live before they launch to the public a week later. So welcome. I decided to start off with a dance party just to mix things up and make them fun. I might keep it around because I always start off my coaching calls with a dance party. So why not start off my podcast that way? And so today we are talking about the power of being pissed off. How to turn your anger into a comeback. Okay? So buckle up, ladies. So what started this whole theme was last week I had an experience that kind of made me sad. I was feeling sad and frustrated that things weren't quite working out the way that I wanted them to be. Now, here's the funny thing about me. At first, I get sad and feel sorry for myself. And then I get mad. And all of those feelings are okay. It is actually so important to have a wide emotional range. Anger is normal and healthy. So I want to encourage you as women to allow yourself to feel all of your feelings, including the feeling of anger. I always tell my kids, it's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to be mean. So there's where we draw the line, right? We can feel all the feelings. When we're mad, it can't turn into us being mean. And let's be honest, Jesus had healthy anger. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to allow yourself to feel all the feelings. And you know what is actually kind of awesome is that there have been many times in my life where I have turned that anger into a comeback. Because at some point in your life, you sort of have a moment where you're like, this ain't it. This ain't it. And that might be where you're like, this isn't what I want to feel. Or maybe this isn't what I want to think. This isn't how I want to act. Or this isn't the life I want, or this isn't the business that I want. This isn't the future I want for my kids, or these aren't the friends that I want. This isn't the kind of mom that I want to be. This isn't the hair that I want. Whatever it is, at some point, you hit rock bottom and just decide that you're done, that you're done with it. And this is actually what happened to me when I went from food stamps to 7 figures. At one point, it was probably the moment when I was in the grocery store with my kids who were very young at the time. My youngest, who's now 14, was a toddler, and he was crying in the cart as I'm checking out, and I only had $16 to my name, and I was supposed to buy stuff for school lunches and dinners and somehow make it go super far with $16. And I went home and wrote in my journal and was like, I'm done. I am so done living like this. I'm so sick of being poor. I'm sick of being broke, right? I also did something similar, and that's when I changed things for me financially. This also happened to me with my thoughts. I remember having a lot of shame and having a negative thought. And it was a very, very distinct negative thought that came back again and again. And it was, you are a bad mom. I had that thought for years and years, and it often turned into a shame spiral. And I always tell my clients, shame is the most paralyzing, painful feeling. It's an unhelpful feeling. And yet I was feeling it constantly. And it just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to feel this anymore. I don't like how this feels anymore. And that's when I did a deep dive into the personal development world and read so many amazing, inspiring, motivating books that changed my life because I was done. I was done with thinking that way. I want to read you guys a quick story that is by Glennon Doyle, and it's in her Get Untamed journal, and it's about a cheetah. It's about a cheetah named Tabitha, and I'll kind of summarize most of it because basically one day she took her daughter to the zoo, and the zookeeper was showing them this cheetah named Tabitha, and also Tabitha's best friend, which was this dog. And the dog's name was Minnie. And the zookeeper talked about how the dog did this trick where it would chase the Jeep. They had a Jeep where they would stick a pink bunny, like a pink stuffed animal, to the back of the Jeep, and they would drive away and the dog would chase after it. And then they were like, okay, now we also taught this trick to Tabitha the cheetah. And they opened the cage and let Tabitha run after the Jeep. And of course, she ran super fast. And she said, I watched Tabitha and thought, day after day, this wild animal chases dirty pink bunnies down the well-worn path they've cleared for her. Never catching that damn bunny, settling instead for a store-bought steak and the approval of strangers, obeying every command just like Minnie, the lab she's been trained to believe she is. Unaware that if she remembered her wildness for just a moment, she could tear those zookeepers to shreds. And a young girl raised her hand and asked, isn't Tabitha the cheetah sad? Doesn't she miss the wild? And the zookeeper smiled and said, no, Tabitha was born here. She doesn't know any different. This is a good life for Tabitha. And she talked about how her daughter kind of nudged her and pointed to Tabitha, and they noticed that Tabitha's posture had changed. Her head was high and she was stalking the periphery, tracing the boundaries the fence created, back and forth like she was remembering something. She looked regal and a little scary. And her daughter whispered to her, Mommy, she turned wild again. And I looked at Tabitha, the cheetah, and I wished I could ask her, what's happening inside for you now? And I knew what she'd say. She'd say, something's off about my life. I feel restless and frustrated. I have this hunch that everything was supposed to be more beautiful than this. Then she'd look back at the cage, the only home she's ever known. She'd look at the zookeepers, the spectators, and her panting, begging best friend, the lab, and she'd sigh and say, I should be grateful. I have a good enough life here. It's crazy to long for what doesn't even exist. And I would say, Tabitha, you are not crazy. You are a damn cheetah. And I love that story so much because there are so many women that are playing small, that are stuck, and that know they were meant for more. And one day, I hope that you will just wake up and decide that you are so back. And because you can do that, you can just decide to make a comeback. You can just decide to show up differently. Whatever happened in the past, you can't change that, but you can decide what the future looks like for you. And you can also decide this ain't it. What's currently happening right now is not it. You can be the plot twist in your story. You hold the pen. You get to write the next chapter. So instead of having a midlife crisis, you can have a freaking midlife comeback. You don't have to shrink. You can decide to shine. Because there are people less talented, less competent than you doing the things that you want to do simply because they just decided to do it. And you are entirely up to you. So where do we direct that anger? Direct it towards your comeback story. Get emotional. Stop settling. Stop breaking promises to yourself. Darren Hardy, the author of The Compound Effect, said something that I will always remember. He said, if you're broke, get pissed. If you're mediocre, get pissed. If you're scared, get pissed. That's it. No more. Draw a line in the sand. Say I've had it. Resolve once and for all, this is it. You will not live like this anymore. Rise up and do something about your mediocre situation. You need inspiration or desperation. You need to ignite strong feelings. Stop being polite. Stop complaining. Stop excusing yourself. It's your freaking fault. Own it and get pissed about it. And I mean, he was telling it like it was. He was not sugarcoating it. But basically what he's saying is to use the negative emotion of anger to create positive change. Get pissed. Get passionate. Let your emotions spark the fire that fuels your comeback. So how do you create a comeback? Start with the end in mind. There's a quote that I have been obsessed with for years. It's by the fashion designer Diane von Furstenberg. And she said, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I always knew the woman I wanted to be. You don't always have to know the game plan, but if you have the end in mind of the woman that you want to be, that woman can guide you. She can be the compass. So ask yourself, what do I want people to say about me at my funeral? What do I want them to remember about me? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? Now, speaking of funerals, I have to tell you the craziest statistic that I just read recently that blew my mind. And it was shocking and liberating all at once. And this statistic was that only 10 people on average cry at your funeral. 10! How insane is that? Of all the people you meet over the decades and decades that you live, only 10 of them are gonna cry at your freaking funeral? Are you joking me? And here's another statistic that will blow your mind. That of the people that attend your funeral, if the weather is bad, if it rains, then only 50% of them will go to the graveyard, to the next, the funeral procession. Only 50% of them. So here's the thing I want you to think of about this statistic is that this statistic can be so liberating. I actually read about this in one of the books that we're reading in my Sisterhood Insiders group and our monthly book club. And the author said when he read this statistic, he was sitting in his car at the grocery store getting ready for a sales meeting, his first sales meeting. And when he read that statistic, he was like, okay, if only 10 people are going to cry at my funeral, who freaking cares? I'm just going to do what I want. I'm just going to show up how I want. I'm just going to be bold and brave, because why am I trying to tiptoe around all these people that I'm afraid of their judgment? I'm afraid of what they'll think of me when only 10 are going to cry at your funeral. He said that statistic was so liberating to him that he walked right into that sales meeting and he gave his best effort and showed up as his most brave, courageous self. So keep the end in mind and think of what type of woman you want to be. The next tip is to decide the details. In my Breaking Up with Perfect program, I have an entire module where we do a deep dive on how to become the main character of your life. But the easiest place to start is to start with the outer details. So I want you to choose something physical and symbolic to represent your comeback. Kind of think of it like Dumbo with his feather in the Disney movie. I'll tell you different symbols I have gotten over the years to represent that season's comeback. So I bought a butterfly like chain to put on my closet to represent, the transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. I bought some queen bee perfume to represent the queen bee that I want to show up as. You can buy like a signature scent. I bought a signature scent. A blazer. I love me a blazer to feel like an empowered woman. You can have sassy sunglasses that maybe symbolize the empowered woman you want to be. I have red, green, pink, cat eye, aviator sunglasses. You could buy maybe a bold lip color. I recently bought a Gucci Agatha orange lipstick to just represent the bold woman I am trying to step into. You could make yourself a mantra that you live by. You could even get a hat or a bracelet with initials of your mantra to remind you of it. You could find a comeback song. I have a comeback song that just reminds me of the woman I want to become and the feeling I want to feel. One of my symbols is disco balls. I've talked about this before. Disco balls. I have disco balls all over my office. They represent you, the woman that I'm trying to empower, the woman I'm trying to help move and shine her light. So pick a symbol of something to kind of remind you of that next level woman that you're trying to become. And then the other thing is to stop delaying and start doing. Use your anger, along with that crazy statistic I just shared about 10 people crying at your funeral, to just start doing the dang thing that you want to do. Speak up more. Wear the bright colors. Wear the bold lip. Say no. Be unapologetic. Do something that your teenage self would love. As we speak, my teenager is literally at McDonald's doing the silliest, they call it a $12 calculus challenge, where they're trying to see how much McDonald's food they can get for $12. Those things are fun and add variety and spontaneity in your life. Here's some things that I'm doing lately to romanticize my life. I've been playing loud music in my car. I've got a disco ball dangling from the mirror in my car. I bought karaoke mics to sing in. I have a playlist of of hype music and even music from my past that I love from my teen years. I've been pressing post even when I'm scared. I've been sharing my opinion more. I've been playing pickleball. Just started up playing pickleball recently with my family. I bought some Gen Z sunglasses that I only see the younger generation wearing, but I'm still wearing anyways. I'm dressing up to go see Devil Wears Prada just for fun. I'm getting my nails done, which I haven't done in years. And here's a couple things that I am planning to do that are on my bucket list for this year. I want to take knitting lessons. I want to buy roller skates and skate in my backyard. I want to try country dancing. You guys, life is too short to be boring. The more you do scary new things, the more natural and normal it feels. So I want to encourage you to get pissed. If there's something in your life that frustrates you, change it. Use your anger to fuel your comeback. And if you need a little help and you're still stuck in some past patterns, girl, I got you. I have my Breaking Up with Perfect program that might be just the thing to help you step into your comeback era. And next week I'm going to share about a weekly thing you can do every week to also make your comeback. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Bye.